She's currently taking a year out from her stellar career at Accenture to run Kenya Green Power Supply, which is a One Young World-inspired initiative with a fellow One Young World ambassador, Kevin Musila, in Kenya. And their aim is to increase the access to sustainable energy in rural Kenya. So, a fantastic One Young World ambassador, please welcome Marielle Fillit.
Morning, everyone. Mary Robinson, last night you called for transformative leadership. I hope I am meeting your call for transformative leadership. We are trying so very hard. As Kate mentioned, my name is Marielle, and this past year, I started a climate justice business in Kenya with a Kenyan One Young World delegate. We are selling solar home systems in rural areas. Mary, you asked for vision. We have a vision that all those households in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, and other African countries surrounding East Africa that do not have electricity will soon have electricity from individual solar household systems, which will meet all of the electricity needs of a household at a fraction of the cost of grid connection and will maintain the carbon neutrality of the households. These households are the most sustainable households on the planet. We'd like to keep it that way. We also have a vision that those in the United States, Europe, and China will learn from these customers, see the benefits of generating their own energy, and will begin to utilize solar or other renewable energy sources to individually power their households. In this way, and ironically, those who have suffered the most from climate change and have done the least to cause it will bring upon the energy revolution that the world needs. In short, we want to do a very simple but hard thing. We want to change the way people get energy for the first time and the way that people use energy in their house. Africa is the perfect place to start from scratch on energy. A solar home system comes with a solar panel, a battery, some lights, and a mobile phone charger. It mimics the presence of electricity in the house. Our customers are not typical energy users like we have in the United States or other countries. They do not require so much energy, and they have very little to purchase it. Today, I've been invited by the Mary Robinson Foundation, Climate Justice, which I thank very much. On the eve of the 2014 Climate Summit in New York City, I attended a joint session between the Mary Robinson Foundation and UN Women, where I met a group of amazing women fighting against the effects of climate change in their daily lives at the grassroots level, and those who support them at the higher levels in their plight. The message on climate justice was all the same: respect and protect human rights, support the right to development, share benefits and burdens equally, ensure decisions on climate change are participatory, transparent, and accountable, and highlight gender equality and equity. By setting up a business that only makes money if we respect the customer and their needs and wants, our business adheres to the principles of climate justice every day and services those who have previously been underserved. Access to energy is a human right, and it's necessary for parents to provide a better life for their children, which we all want to do. So, if I haven't been able to inspire you yet on this issue, then it's my honor to introduce a remarkable woman who will. You saw her last night, and we're so lucky to have her here again. Mary Robinson is a woman of so many accomplishments. I'll just mention a few. She is the president of Mary Robinson Foundation on Climate Justice. She's the first female president of Ireland, a real inspiration to generations of women in not only Ireland, but around the world. She's a member of the Elders, a group of world leaders brought together by Nelson Mandela to help inspire solutions to many intractable problems. She was the chancellor of the University of Dublin, Trinity College, and as of this July, she's the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy on Climate Change. So, please welcome Mary Robinson.
Thank Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Morning. Good morning. And first, could I just say to Marielle, yes, you are a transformative leader. I'm really very impressed with what you're doing and that you're doing it the climate justice way. Last night, I spoke more generally about the fact that we are facing a big challenge because we're not on course for a safe world because of climate change. But this morning, I want to hear your views and listen to you and talk together about climate justice. Climate justice is a term that people aren't quite as familiar with. They're becoming more familiar. We saw a lot of it on the march in New York, where 400,000 people. The words climate justice kept being used in all different ways by that diverse crowd. But in our foundation, we link human rights, development, and climate change, because the Human Rights Council has acknowledged the negative impact of climate on all kinds of human rights. Rights to food, rights to health, right to life itself, being forced to migrate, leave your home because of flooding or severe drought. And there's an injustice about climate that we have to take on board. It is already affecting the poorest countries and the poorest communities, even very poor communities in rich countries. We saw that with Hurricane Katrina and more recently with Sandy. There are still people trying to recover in New York and New Jersey, poorer parts, who are so devastated because they're very poor. But it's very, very evident all over Africa. It's what brought me into climate change. I was working on health issues, including health in Sierra Leone, which is now suffering from the terrible Ebola outbreak. And I was working on women, peace and security and on corporate responsibility. And we were a small outfit called Realizing Rights, based out of New York and Geneva and Washington. And we had to partner with a lot of other partners. So I was traveling to different African countries, and I kept hearing this same sentence, more or less, but things are so much worse. And it was about climate shocks. It was about in Liberia that the rainy seasons were very predictable until about 10 years ago. And now they don't come at the same time, they come for longer, or they don't come at all. In northern Uganda, my friend Constance O'Kellett said when she was growing up in her village, they had normal seasons. Now, she says, it's long periods of drought and flash flooding, and her village is destroyed, and she's got a women's group holding it together. The gender dimensions, I was very glad Marielle brought that out, are huge, because when you undermine poverty, it's women who pick up the pieces, who become the leaders in their local community to adapt, to be resilient, to try to do things. So we have to ensure that women's leadership is to the fore and that it's understood that there are these gender dimensions. But you've been hearing quite a lot of speeches this morning, I noticed, and I want to kind of get a crowd response from you. I want your help in promoting the ideas of climate justice, that we get the energy to the poorest in the way Marielle is doing. Do you know how many we're talking about? 1.3 billion in our world of 7 billion have no access to electricity. 2.6 billion still cook on open fires with charcoal and wood and animal dung and inhale smoke, and 4 million die every year, and they're mainly women or even children standing around while their mother's cooking. So we have a big constituent of about 3 billion out of our 7 billion world who are very energy poor and whom we have to prioritize because we owe it to them in justice, because our lifestyles are undermining their poor life chances. And all the development aid of the last many years could be completely undermined. So it is a big issue, and it's an issue for young people like you. I want more transformative leaders like Marielle. I really feel we can learn from good examples, learn from what is happening. So if you're doing something that fits into a climate justice mode, tell me about it. Over to you now. I'm going to put my spectacles on, because otherwise I won't be able to see those at the back, because I am, after all, an elder. But I can see everybody now, including up on the balcony. So who wants to start? Okay, can you find the mics?
A question, you want to talk about your project, particularly in the area of climate justice, and I know that that's a lot of you.
Okay, don't be shy. There's a bonus for the first one. Good.
It's
Hi.
not a shy group.